This game recap is brought to you by Manscaped's Foot Duster Foot Deodorant. Say goodbye to stinky foot funk with this essential deodorant spray. Head over to manscaped.com and use the promo code SACCITY for 20% off and free worldwide shipping. The Foot Duster Foot Deodorant by Manscaped. The best protection any place below the waist.
Next game on our list.
Oh, God.
It's the Jacksonville Jaguars defeating the Los Angeles Chargers 38-10. Shout out Duval. Shout out Jacksonville. Shout out Trevor Lawrence. Shout out Doug Peterson. All right, now we can restart.
Shout out Aaron Bukes. There you go.
Well, no, that ain't a thing. But
that's not a thing? It's not a thing? Do I got to go find the clip?
No. I am sitting on like the worst chair. This is the worst.
My ass hurts on this chair too.
It's not like I'm on a stool because like it's just a mess over here. It's the worst.
Let's talk about this game. What do you want to ask me?
Let's talk about this game. So the Jacksonville Jaguars defeated the Los Angeles Chargers 38-10, pulling off the upset here in a game that a lot of people picked the Los Angeles Chargers here, including myself, going against the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got the job done when it mattered in a game that was not very close. Aaron, how much of this is on Justin Herbert being injured? Like, are we factoring that in here when we look at this 38-10 win for the Jags?
Nope, I'm not. I don't care. Okay. I don't care if Justin Herbert was not 100%. If he wasn't 100%, don't play him. If you didn't think that he could help you win the game, don't play him. If you're stepping on the football field, I expect you to be the player that you're supposed to be. And let's be honest, Justin Herbert, if you look at the box score, still threw for 300 yards. Touchdown and a pick. Didn't play well, right? But offensively, they didn't play well. This is about the Chargers being not as good as people thought. And I don't know who said it, but I think there was one guy who said it. Oh, yeah, his name was Aaron. That's right. Who had the Chargers, by the way, missing the playoffs. The Chargers have explosive weapons. The Chargers have great names. The Chargers have everything you look at. Man, that's flashy. That's what it's supposed to be. But we always say this about the Chargers. And there's just something that's not right. And I'll tell you right now, number one, they can't run the football. You can't run the football. You can't win in this league. I don't care how good your quarterback is. If you don't have the guys up front to run the football and establish dominance in the run game and protect your passer, you cannot win. The NFL has never changed. The change has been the quarterbacks and the receiver, but there's one thing that's never changed. This game is ultimately won on the offense and defensive line. That is what is ultimately the success of an NFL football team. And right now, their offensive line has not played well, and they just lost Rashawn Slater. Like 12 carries for 26 yards. Are you serious? With Austin Eckler in your backfield, Sony Michel, who's had success running, you drafted what's the guy you thought was going to be something? Isaiah Spiller, and you get nothing out of your run game against a Jaguars team who, yes, I did say they were going to make the biggest jump defensively, but you're at home. They traveled all the way to LA, and this is the performance you get. The Chargers, another disappointing team to start this season. 1-2 is not going to cut it. I get you lost to the Chiefs. That's okay. But the way they've looked offensively is not the team that's going to compete with the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. It's just not. And defensively, you give up 38 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Trevor Lawrence, who is a second-year quarterback, made you look like Swiss cheese. I thought he was, oh my God, it might have been my best line, and I went blank. I felt like Trevor Lawrence was back at Clemson playing against Western Chattanooga State or something, the way he shredded this defense. So I'm sorry, Chargers fans, everybody that, oh man, they're going to win the AFC West. They're better than the Chiefs. But this is what I'm talking about. Stop looking at your paper rosters and thinking that translates to the field all the time. The Chargers have a problem. Jacksonville is a team that is coming, and we've said it, they're coming. And Doug Peterson has made that franchise a completely different organization right now, and shout out to them for what they were able to do on the road in LA.
Any concerns about the injuries with the Los Angeles? Like I know you're talking about like the Los Angeles Chargers playing bad football and disappointing, or playing exactly how you thought they would technically. But they lose Joey Bosa in this game. No JC Jackson on their defense. None of that matters, right? None of that.
It matters from the standpoint of you're like, oh, that sucks. But the thing about the NFL is, man, every team deals with injuries, man. At every level, at every position. Dallas just lost their quarterback and played with Cooper Rush against the defending AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals. And they won the game. Like, find a way to win the game. That's all that matters. And the Jacksonville is supposed to be an inferior team. Like, I'm not even here to knock Jacksonville because you know how I feel about where they're going. But they're supposed to be Jacksonville, whether it's with Justin Herbert or Chase Daniels, really. And Justin Herbert played. I get Keenan wasn't there. I get Joey Bosa wasn't there. But you still got Khalil Mack, right? You still got an all-pro pass rusher. You don't have J.C. Jackson, but you still got Asante Samuel, who's a really good corner. You still got Derwin James back there. Why we can't keep having excuses for why teams aren't doing things. Every team has injuries. I can go to every team in the league right now. They're missing some sort of key piece or pieces, and they're finding a way to get it done. Or they're not, and they don't get the excuse that oh, my guy was hurt. Well, no, you don't. Oh, well, that's why you have 53 guys on the roster. It's not, you got to have depth. It matters. That's part of being a football team. So no, I was very disappointed in what the Chargers were doing. Like, not that they even lost. It's the way they lost. They got their ass kicked, start to finish. Like, the entire game, Jacksonville said, nah, we're better than you. Like, that's basically what they said. Now, we're a better football team than you are. And right now, it's hard to argue that the Chargers are better than the Jaguars. And I know they'll probably be ahead of my power rankings or whatever, but it's going to be hard for me to do that. And I don't normally look at head-to-head, but Jacksonville beat the shit out of them and out-physicaled them. They slapped them around and said, we are like your big brother. And that's sad. That's sad. Like, that game was very, very disheartening if you're a Chargers fan.
No, I agree.
I know you love it.
No, honestly, I'm trying to keep myself grounded in this moment because I do think that they're like, that's what I'm trying to get at here is like, as a fan of the Jacksonville you can obviously clearly see I'm a fan of the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I'm also a prominent member of the media. We're kind of a big deal when it comes to being the media. And with that comes a responsibility of us. And you do this as well with your Cowboys. Is you have to stay grounded. You have to stay even. You have to stay honest with yourselves. And with this team, I'm trying to stay honest with myself. Like, yes, they did blow out the Los Angeles Chargers in this game. They won 38-10, but it's on to next week. They play the Eagles next week. That is going to be another real challenge for this team. That is another prove-it game for the Jacksonville Jaguars to see if they are more legit than we thought they would be. But it was a great game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, we talked about it, and I'm going to give you the floor again. I know you just went in on the Chargers, but the Jacksonville Jaguars defense in this game looked great. Like, whether there was no Keenan Allen, there was no Justin Herbert, but this is the same team that played the Kansas City Chiefs close. They didn't have Keenan Allen in that game. Justin Herbert was hurt in that game. Well, he got hurt towards the end of the game, but he was banged up in that game. So it's like you pretty much had the same team, same offense there. And what the Jacksonville Jaguars defense did was impressive. What impressed you the most about the Jaguars defense?
Is they're keeping teams out of the end zone. Like, we very, very similar to the Buffalo Bills conversation is, number one, they're taking advantage of their opportunities. And I think that's important. Whenever you can create turnovers, that's always going to help your defense. Sudden change matters. But they're playing free and they're keeping teams out of the end zone. They gave up 300 yards in this game. And most of that was obviously kind of probably garbage points later, whatever. But it's just about keeping teams out of the end zone. If I can hold you to a touchdown and a field goal a game, I got a good chance to win. If my offense isn't even great, I have a good chance to win. And they're right now they're a top 5 defense, I believe, in the NFL as far as points per game, only giving up 12 points per game. And I know they had the shutout last week, but they've played against offenses that we thought highly of. The Colts offense, we did think highly of to start the year in their running game. Now the Chargers offense. So they're not afraid of these teams that are supposed to be better than them. And I think that's important. They're young, they're playing fast, and Doug Peterson seems to have a really good hold on the identity of this football team. And I mentioned identity earlier. It matters. When you know what you are as a football team and you know what you want to do, it's so much easier to be successful. They run the football. They have James Robinson, who's, I'm going to be honest, it hasn't been the most efficient running game, but they stay with it. And what happens? Then you get a big play. But it's been a couple of games now where it's been like James Robinson's been like 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 20, 3.5, 3.5, 50. And that's what matters. Like at the end of the day, you look at the numbers, they look great, but it's because they're staying with it. They're focused on like, we know what we want to do. We know how we want to put Trevor Lawrence in the best situation to succeed. And we're doing that. And then you get guys making plays because everybody is confident. Christian Kirk making plays, Zay Jones making plays, guys that there were question marks about, oh, why are they signing this guy? Why are they signing that guy? And all offseason, I kept saying, these are good signings. Like, these are players that can help you win football games. Not everything has to be Devontae Adams, the biggest name out in the market. You have to find guys that fit, and that's what's important. And Doug Peterson has done a good job of that. Remember, his team with the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl. LeGarrette Blount, Alshon Jeffrey was there. Nick Foles. Like, it wasn't a team full of names. It was a team full of guys that fit together, and they knew who they were. And it started with the running game. They got their running game going. The defense stepped up, and the Jaguars' defense, by the way, is loaded with young talent. Now, they're not all great players, but from a talent perspective, when you talk about Devin Lloyd, Aluakon, Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, who I saw in pass coverage yesterday doing his thing. The corners and Tyson Campbell, Devin Lloyd, like they have
that Devin Lloyd jersey is in the mail, by the way. That Devin Lloyd jersey is ordered and in the mail.
They have dogs on defense that are young and talented, but inexperienced. And that inexperience, when it starts to turn into experience, that's a scary, scary thing. And I'll say it again. I thought the biggest jump from last year to this year of any defensive unit in football would come from the Jacksonville Jaguars. And through 3 games, I think you can honestly say that's the case.
Yep. So shout out the Jags. You talked about it. I kind of wanted to roll through it here. Zay Jones was my player of the game. 11 targets, 10 receptions, 85 yards and a touchdown in this game. Very reliable, very consistent. The leading wide receiver for this team in a big blowout game. Another guy that this is a guy that fits your description right there, where it was you sign these guys, you give them these bigger deals, and you're like, oh, why do they do that? Well, it's games like this against a playoff team like playoff contending team like the Chargers, and you have a big game like this. Big time credit to Zay Jones in this game. Big time credit to the Jacksonville Jaguars for getting the job done on the road. First win in Los Angeles as a first win in Los Angeles as a franchise. First time, this is a little fun note. This is what I'll end it on. So this is the first time since 2000 the Jaguars have won back-to-back games by 20-plus points. The last time they did that in 2000, one of those wins came against the Cleveland Browns. You know, it was on that team for the Cleveland Browns who did throw a pass in that game.
Doug Peterson.
Doug Peterson was the quarterback in that game. So Jacksonville Jaguars take this one big against the Chargers.